Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the Public Works Transportation Committee meeting for April the 17th to order. It is 4 o'clock and there's lots of noise in the hallway, so we'll try and let staff get back there as soon as they can. It's an open house event, which we'll hear near the end of the meeting, a little bit more detail on that. So first off, the minutes, motion to adopt the minutes from March 20th, moved and seconded. All right, all in favor? All right, minutes are carried, and we will go on to the next committee meeting, May 22nd at 4 o'clock in the council chambers, and it'll likely be Councillor Day back as the chair. She's absent today. I did hear about one agenda addition, no deletions. The agenda addition, which we can number as 5A, would be designated parking for people with disabilities at the Minaroo Centre for Active Living. So again, that's the designated parking for people with disabilities at MCAL. And that'll be 5A. Is there any other items to add? All right, then we'll move on with item number 1, the 2nd Avenue traffic calming. We have Staff Sonali to share any further details on that one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have anything to add to the report. Staff are available to answer questions.
Okay, great. I do see, I think that was you, Bill, that clicked, did it? It shows here as Malcolm Brody, but did you want to speak?
Yeah.
You want? Okay, you did want to speak.
Yeah, I did want to ask staff a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm not on the committee, but I support the recommendations. And when I'm wondering, Mr. Chairman, because of Steveston, the issue comes up about traffic calming in Steveston, the residential and the narrow roads, whether in addition to this, through community members maybe taking the lead in the community, that we look to make all of Steveston 30K. Those have been around for as long as I have will remember the issues we had on 7th Avenue, for example. It's a Le Mans 500 from Gary Point to Steveston Highway and back. And I'm just wondering whether, and again, I don't know what consultation is, but we have members of the committee here that we could get a petition to work with staff to look at it to see what the flavor is, because we always hear east, west, north, south in Steveston with the very narrow roads and parking on those roads, whether it's something to possibly look to expand it, but not take anything away from the 3 recommendations.
Thanks. Could staff
Take
kind of outline
advisement
Through the chair,
outline just the process that
process? What
we would
process would it be? What would the committee have to do to add to this for another time?
through the chair, certainly if committee would like to give staff direction to conduct a more fulsome consultation in Steveston Village, the neighborhood north of Steveston Village, rather, we certainly can. What I would say is that in the past, we have received some requests from residents in that neighborhood for traffic calming and speed reduction, but to date, there hasn't been that level of support by petition like we have had with the 2nd Avenue residents, but certainly should residents, after 2nd Avenue traffic calming measures are implemented, should council approve them and requests are made for similar treatment on adjacent roadways, we can certainly start that process with residents.
Okay, I think that's I pass that on to advisement, and obviously members of the committee can do it. We know how to do it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, go to Councillor Heed.
Yes, thank you. Just carrying on with what Councillor McNulty was saying. Traffic calming in Steveston is going to be consistent as we go forward. No matter what, we're going to have all of Steveston speed bumps, and we're going to do it in a piecemeal fashion, and it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. And my thoughts are, and I'm not sure if I'm going to amend this particular item, is that, and I'd like your feedback on this, is that we look at defining Steveston proper, look at, similar to what we looked at with Hamilton, a 30-kilometer speed limit within that area, given the fact that it's a residential and a tourist area, all of that. We look at a one-year pilot and get an evaluation in place to see whether it dealt with some of the issues, what the feedback was from the community with respect to that, and whether we continue. So I just want to hear your comments with respect to that.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, what we've seen based on feedback from residents in Steveston so far is that there hasn't been a level of support for further traffic calming or speed reduction on other streets other than 2nd Avenue. The data as well that we've collected on those roadways indicates that there is no present safety or operational issues on those other roadways. Given that there isn't that safety mandate, staff's process is to have the support from residents so that those affected residents are aligned with the future changes on the roadway. And through the consultation process, that's how the consensus is typically achieved on the traffic calming process.
And how are you gauging that support?
Through the chair, through surveys, we do go out and request feedback and responses on questions pertaining to the different types of speed mitigation measures.
And when was the last time we did one for Steveston proper?
Through the chair, I would have to say I'll need to check the data on that, past history, but it has been a few years. But what I can say is that we have not received any requests over the past few years related to traffic calming or speed reduction measures on any other streets at this point in time besides the 2nd Avenue residents.
Well, when I look at, we had this ongoing issue with Kittywaken 2 Road, even what size the speed bump was going to be, whether it's going to be rubber, whether it's going to be something else. So there's, the point I want to make here is we need to be proactive in this particular area, not reactive. If in fact there is an issue here, when you look at some of the data throughout the world, and I know Mr. B's there and he would probably know about this, many, and even here in Canada, are looking at lowering the speed limit, certainly within specific areas, and whether it's a neighborhood or some other main central business district, to 30K.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, if I can step in, what I'd say is that, as Sonali pointed out, we don't have a mandate from the public to do that at this point, but certainly if council directs us to do it, we will get it done.
I'll just wait and hear back from others, and I may make an amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Heed. We'll go to Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks. I'm not on the committee, but I just thought I'd make a quick comment. Since I live in the neighborhood and have for a long time, and just walk down 2nd Avenue all the way to Steveston today, ride my bike, drive my car, everything else, I'd support these recommendations when they come to council. In terms of lowering the speed limit throughout that area of Steveston between 1 Road and 7th and Steveston and Chatham, I can see there might not be that much demand for it, because when you think of that neighborhood, there's only a couple roads that go straight through. 2nd is one of them. 4th is the bus route, that's another one, and then 7th Avenue. So a lot of the roads, when you think about 3rd and you think about 2nd, a lot of them end at stop signs, and so there's not a lot of through traffic. So that's probably one of the considerations we might think about in terms of the need to lower the speed limit or traffic calming issues on some of the smaller side streets. There's only a couple that go through. The east-west ones are different, but the north-south ones, a lot of them are cut off and blocked off. So anyway, I thought the recommendations were good. Thank you.
Thanks for that testimonial. We'll move to Councillor Liu. Hold on here. There we go.
Yeah, thank you. Through you to staff. Just following up on Councillor Hobbs' comments, I agree with that. I drive through Steveston all the time, dropping kids off and doing whatever, and Personally, I haven't noticed anybody speeding, but that being said, we have heard from a segment of the population, they want something done, and I agree with that. I also think that on 4th and 7th, where the buses are going, it would be if we were going to go that way, we should probably be talking to TransLink, because they're already having to loop around that whole space, and changing the speed limit may or may not have an impact on them. I don't know that people are driving that quickly anyway. And as Councillor Hobbs said, a lot of the streets don't go all the way through. Like 6th Avenue has that barricade on it. Regent's got a cul-de-sac on it. Like there's a bunch of them that you can't get there from here anyway. So you're clearly not going very fast because you can't get there. When we think about the traffic calming and putting up those barricades so that you can't drive through some of those streets, is that an alternative versus changing speed limits? Although changing speed limits may make sense too, or adding speed bumps.
So through the chair to Councillor Liu, what I would say with that type of treatment is that on these established narrow roadways, particular to the neighborhood north of Steveston Village, doing that type of treatment after the fact, there's just not the physical space or road right-of-way to create a turnaround, and so garbage, recycling, and other service vehicles would have a very lengthy reverse movement, so that treatment wouldn't necessarily achieve the safety benefits that speed humps would in that context.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Al.
Yes, generally speaking, I am in favor of reducing speed in the neighborhood. However, I am hesitant to go more than what staff has recommended at this time. Perhaps, we should have, an observation period for a year before we really, review the situation and make recommendations. Because I noticed that even this request came from some residents on 2nd Avenue. I noticed that only 51%, as the result of the survey, saying that they're in favor of reducing the speed on 2nd Avenue. And also, only 42% of the total household who responded to the survey said that they supported the reducing the speed to 30 km per hour. So I am hesitant to do more than what staff have recommended at this time. But I agree, generally speaking, reducing speed, increasing safety is something that we should always mindful of. But doing too much too fast may not be actually a good idea.
Thank you, Councillor Al. That's everyone around the table. I do see Councillor Heed would like to speak again, and after that, we will have a member of the public come up. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not going to vote against the recommendations here. However, because that's just related to one specific area. And Chair, I'm going to leave it up to your expertise with respect to whether we add a further recommendation that staff look at traffic speed mitigation for Steveston proper, whether it's, as Councillor Liu pointed out, is, speed bumps or something like that, or even roundabouts, something like that, which is utilized a fair amount in residential neighborhoods in Vancouver, to look at that. So, Chair, I'll leave it up to you whether you want a separate motion with respect to that, because I'll vote in favor of this. But I think we've got to do more of a wholesome look at the entire Steveston area, because what I could see, and after the delegation reports, there may be other, whether it's 2nd Avenue, whether it's 1st Avenue, 3rd Avenue, coming forward and say, look, hey, we want the same here. Our kids are out there riding their bikes and all that. We've got the multi-use pathway. They want to make their way to Steveston Highway and all that. We want them to be safe. So I just think we've got to do a little more on this. I'm going to support this, but I'm going to leave it to you, Chair, on whether you want to make an additional recommendation here with respect to staff looking at those other mitigation measures and reporting back to us.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Heed. So just as we're to invite Alex Sagarit up. I'll also just highlight we did get a letter to Mayor and Council from Urjun Ma, who's also a resident in the Steveston area, also encouraging us to widen this type of action beyond just 2nd Avenue. So it seems like there is appetite out there for the public to provide that mandate. But let's hear from our public delegation here today.
Hello, committee members. I stand before you today to implore your support for the 2nd Avenue traffic calming motion under consideration. For over 3 decades, I have called the corner of 2nd and Gary and Steveston my home. Over these years, I have witnessed a troubling increase in speeding and regrettably a risk in vehicular accidents. 2nd Avenue plays a vital role as part of the Crabapple Ridge bike route, linking Steveston to Terra Nova. However, a concerning stretch exists between Steveston Highway and Chatham Street, devoid of natural bends or corners, providing a temptation for motorists to speed without restraint. The installation of speed humps coupled with RCMP enforceable speed limit is not merely a solution, it is a necessity to curb the hazardous behaviors witnessed all too often. Instances of motorists disregarding stop signs have led to recent accidents at intersections like 2nd Avenue and Gary Street and 2nd and Richmond Street, necessitating the immediate response of emergency services. I took the initiative to canvass the residents along 2nd Avenue, collecting 25 signatures from those residing between Steveston Highway and Chatham Street. Without exception, each signatory expressed a willingness to embrace a 30-kilometer-hour speed limit and the addition of 2 speed humps. Moreover, given the presence of a school zone along the thoroughfare, it is imperative that we heed the recommendations put forth by city staff to ensure the safety of all street users. In closing, I extend my gratitude for your time and attention to this matter. I stand ready to address any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a question. I'll go first. You did hear some of the comments on the kind of Steveston proper and the traffic calming for that whole area. What would be your gauge in wanting to provide that public mandate? So you're expanding your petition reach to the larger area. Would you yourself have interest in doing that?
Yes, I would, because it just seems that because Steveston Village is completely a 30 zone, and then all of a sudden you go into a residential neighborhood and it's a 50 zone, it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Okay, that would be great. I appreciate that. Oh, there was a comment. Oh, I asked the question. All right, no one else questions? Thank you very much. We'll consider that. So I will provide, I guess, the comment. I don't know if I have any other questions for staff, but I think by having what's in front of us today, the traffic calming measure for 2nd Avenue, it will not only trigger the potential, I think, for all other users of the roadways to see what can happen or what can be a result of the public calling for safety changes. So I think this is the step in that direction, and I myself am not willing to call for the addition, as was mentioned, to give council direction to staff to do it at this time. I would support it if we had the public backing of that, followed by the survey. So by seeing that no one would like to speak further, I think we're going to call the question on this item. I take that back. There is going to be further discussion. So before we call the question on this, let's go back to Councillor Heat.
Unless we give staff direction, given the fact that we don't have any other vehicle out there to get the feedback, to get something, we're not going to get it. There's no survey happening right now, correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Heath, that's correct.
So this is my issue, and I understand, yeah, we won't go straight with a pilot program, but I guess after this motion, I will do a referral with respect to what we want to do. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so I will call the question on the item that is on the agenda without any change. So for those in favor of the 2nd Avenue traffic calming, all those in favor? Those opposed? That is carried. And now we'll go to Councillor Heed for a referral.
Yes, I'd like to make a referral to staff that they further examine, engage the public's desire for expanded traffic speed mitigation in Steveston proper.
All right, I will second that. Those on the committee, anyone like to speak to that? Councillor Liu first.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate the idea that slowing it down can be a good thing. I know when we made some changes during COVID in traffic patterns in Steveston, we sure heard from people loud and clear that what they thought about it. And there is kind of the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't know what we're fixing here exactly. So I'm not going to support the referral right now. If we start hearing from the public that there's an issue, then I think it's time to get staff to work on it.
Councillor McNulty had a comment?
Yeah, I'm not on the committee, so I can't vote, but I would support that referral if it went to council. We already have a member of the community who's already been out there doing some work, and some good work, and I think we should be building on that. And to see, following up on some of the signatures and getting that information. I can recall, Ben, we had the issue on 7th Avenue, and I don't think there's anybody in this room other than myself that will remember the tragedy that took place in 7th Avenue a number of years ago. And as I mentioned earlier, so I think the idea of at least getting the information and maybe ask the community to lead this. Thank you.
Thank you. So there are 4 committee members here. And so let's vote on this referral. So all those in favor? That is 2, so it is a tie. That means it goes forward without recommendation from committee. Thank you. All right. So we will move on to item number 2. Item number 2, the proposed amendments to traffic bylaw 5870 for speed limit reductions in Hamilton. And staff have anything to add to that?
Mr. Chair, nothing to add to the report. Happy to answer questions.
Great, thank you. So this, very similar to the last item, there's looking into the survey results, the support, the changes. This was just a bylaw component that was not included a few weeks ago when council approved the traffic calming measures, the delineators, and the reduction in speed limit down to 30 for all of the Hamilton neighborhood. So seeing no questions, concerns there, we will call the question on this. All those in favor? Those opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, staff. Item number 3 is under clothing and textile waste. It's a staff recommendation is an option 3. And so we'll bring it to staff first for anything you'd like to add to the report.
Mr. Chair, nothing to add, but happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. So seeing none, I'll just provide a couple comments I've made through kind of looking through the report. I found it, well, it's a component of a concerning issue around the world, and I've dipped into it quite a bit with students, looking into the life cycle of our clothing and where a lot of things end up that are waste generated. So I acknowledge on our option 3, that is the staff recommendation, it lists a number of different components of the actions we could take from beyond the status quo. Part of that is to advocate for extended producer responsibility programs, so that's moving up to the provincial jurisdiction, but the remainder of the actions would be under our municipal control, so that would include things such as textile collection at the depot, expansion of campaigns and events that will support the reduction in waste at the source here in Richmond. And so I did do a little research as well. I'll just share with committee that the item number, or part 1 of our recommended option would be a textile collection depot or collection bin at the recycling depot. And then I found out where it would go from there. And the location would be the Transcontinental Textile Recycling Center in Surrey. And looking through their website and talking to staff around where does it go from there. And the waste would have potential to go to local sources from that Surrey depot and then would get shipped to Europe, where some of the items would be pulled and sold and used there, and does have an end result in, or end location of Africa. And for those well informed through watching documentaries or being present in parts of the world where you can see piles of waste that have come from faraway places, the environmental disaster, the economic dependence that it causes, the health and safety concerns with these products, and ethical considerations. I do have some concern that our collection of this will lead to problems elsewhere, but it's not enough to have me not want to do something, because clearly there is issues and we need to find ways to deal with our waste in all levels before it becomes waste is one. I'm not sure how many of you around the room are wearing someone else's clothes, but I wear a lot of my dad's and grandpa's clothes to this council chamber, like I am today. And so I hope that what we can get out of this is better options for our residents. And even though textile waste is only 4% of Richmond's residential waste, 4% is a lot for a growing city. So I appreciate the depth of the recommendation from staff, and without any other comments, I'll call the question on the clothing textile waste option 3. All those in favor? And those opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. And Christina is here for the next item as well. That's item 4, recycling and solid waste management, the Great Report 2023, Back to Basics. Anything you'd like to add or highlight from the report?
Mr. Chair, nothing to add. Happy to take questions.
Great. Any questions from committee or members? All right, so I found, I'll just quickly make a comment then. The report for the public to see, it starts on our page 41. It's the attachment to the report. Lots of great tips. Unfortunately, not every household or resident is going to receive a full copy of this, so I encourage you to check it out online and look at the success that we've been having and the ways that we can contribute to even greater success in our waste management. And some of the highlights you can see in the report include where we're moving forward, and I'll just highlight a couple things on our page 30, PWT 39, expansion of the Green Ambassador program, which you'll always see them when you go to any city events, implementing a bike reuse program, conducting a review of our current in-house recycling at our facilities, and many other engagement efforts that are highlighted there. So I appreciate all the depth that has gone into this year's report. Seeing no further comments, this would be for staff recommendation. I'm looking for, take the motion. Second, all those in favor? Opposed? There's none. Thank you very much. All right, and on to item number 5. That's public electric vehicle charging network, use of proceeds from low carbon fuel standard credits. And speakers are Azra and Owen. Anything to add to your report?
Mr. Chair, nothing further to add to the report, available to answer questions, but I would like to introduce Arzan Balsara. He is the Senior Climate Action Specialist with our Sustainability team.
Great, welcome. Thank you for coming. All right, any speakers list on this? All right, and any further questions? Appreciate you both being here and the detail in the report. This kind of is a new terrain for us to go in, where we have these credits that we can sell, and I believe we'll be getting kind of an annual report of the success of selling them, maybe who's buying them, probably not how much they're buying them for, but at least we'll be able to expand our public electric vehicle charging network with this more sustainable funding source. So thank you very much. And it's been moved and seconded, and all those in favor? Oh, sorry, take that back. We're going to get a quick question or comment here.
Just a quick question. So now, if we decided to really sell the credits, so what which platform or, how is the process being conducted? So is there a market for it, or, somebody doing the brokerage rate for us? So how with the selling of these credits?
So the credits can be sold in two potential ways: through a direct sale from us to a fuel supplier, or it can be done through an aggregator. There is a market for these credits. So through the Low Carbon Fuel Standard Act, fuel suppliers must meet a required carbon intensity. If they don't meet that intensity, they are therefore required to go out and purchase carbon credits, or they will undergo a fee of $600 per credit that should have gone towards reducing their carbon intensity.
Okay, thank you. And it's all on the floor, so call the question. Those in favor? And those opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. And the addition to the agenda, 5A, designated parking for people with disabilities at the Minru Center for Active Living. And this was brought forward as a committee member. I'll bring it forward. Information came about from Councillor McNulty. Would you be able to speak briefly to it?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. We're supposedly putting 4 handicap parking spots over at the Active Living Center, and I want to know the status of them and how we can get them there as soon as possible. Many people with a handicap, as you well know, are having difficulty parking, and everybody's having different parking because that's what happens when you have success with a swimming pool. You can't get near the place at certain times. So maybe Mr. Irving can give us an update just on where we are, because I understand we're on the verge of signing contracts.
Mr. Irving, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to Councillor McNulty. Yes, we have completed design, and we're currently mobilizing city crews to complete the physical works, installing 4 new accessible stalls adjacent to the 5 existing there. So hopefully we're just coordinating materials and such, but hopefully you'll see mobilization on that in the coming weeks.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you very much.
Okay, terrific. That's everyone on that item. No motion required, so we'll move into item number 6, manager's report. And I believe we have 1 manager's report, maybe 2.
To the chair, this is an update today on the capital projects open house. So today outside of City Hall here in the main Galleria, we've got representatives from engineering, project development, sustainability, district energy, parks, transportation, and public art, highlighting some of the current projects. And we've also got representatives from the Ministry of Transportation for the Fraser River Tunnel project. This event is also online through Let's Talk Richmond with an interactive a session available, and we'll also be highlighting this through the city's website and social media.
I appreciate that. Councillor Heed has a comment, question?
Yes, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, or possibly Mr. Irving. I just wanted an update on 5 and Cambie, the intersection change.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, that project is currently under tendering. So near the end of the month, that tender will be closing. We'll be getting some updated pricing at that time.
Thank you.
Terrific. All right, that is all. Thank you very much. Any further manager's report? Last minute things to share? All right, looking for adjournment, and we found it. Thank you very much. Adjourned at 4:33. Thank you.